Established under the Unclaimed Financial Assets Act No. 40 of 2011 to receive unclaimed financial assets from holders of such assets, the Unclaimed Financial Assets Authority has taken the responsibility of safeguarding these assets seriously and reunites the assets with their rightful owners. We owe our success to years of excellence in innovation through a list of resources to help you find out if you have any unclaimed assets out there. Our staff have stretched to the limit to ensure we deliver on our promise to receive, safeguard, and reunite unclaimed financial assets to the rightful owners. One story at a time, we reveal the thinking behind our breakthrough, demonstrate our strengths, and share our success stories over the years.
The authority was created by an act of parliament with the mandate of receiving unclaimed financial assets from holders of these assets. And a holder in this case has been defined as any legally incorporated entity. Any form of creation that gives you a legal body, potentially you are a holder. The law gives us powers under Section 31 of our Act that we can actually come to anybody we reasonably believe they are holding unclaimed assets and examine their books of records or their accounts and confirm that they have identified these assets and they have surrendered. Before the law was passed, there was no formal way of dealing with these assets. So various institutions or various entities had their own policies of how to deal with these assets. Some of them, for instance, would say after a certain period of time, these assets they go to profit and loss account and then they are distributed as dividends or as profits to their shareholders. Therefore, meaning that as the owner of this asset, then you lose touch with your asset and you had no chance whatsoever to ever get your asset back. So when this law was passed, it came now to cure that you cannot lose your asset simply because of passage of time.
The asset categories that we deal with are for shares and dividends. And an asset, meaning a share or a dividend in that category, is deemed to be unclaimed if there has not been any contact with the owner on that asset for over 3 years.
We have mapped these institutions, know in which sectors are they, and potentially what are these assets that they could be holding, what's the nature of these assets. And with that, then you're able now to follow through them and ensure that they do comply.
One of our responsibilities is to ensure that our clients are compliant. So any new act or regulation that comes into place within our industry, we ensure that we understand it. Once our dividend reports are fully reconciled, now we're able to look at the next aspect of it is, have you been in contact? Because remember, there are two aspects. One, is this your asset? Do we know where your asset is and what your asset is? Yes, we know. Have you been out of contact with us on this asset for 3 years? And that's where now we also build on the next aspect of our systems.
We've put in place very robust systems. For the last 20 years, we embarked on a process of computerizing all our services. So we've been able to, first of all, map out all our beneficiaries in terms of their names, their dependents, their physical location. So even in cases where we have a principal member passing on, we're able to quickly get in touch with the beneficiaries and pass over some of those assets to them.
We were one of the first companies, not just in our sector, but in the country, to actually comply with the requirements of the Act. There's a very specific format that the regulator, the authority has given to us. We would, over time, even go and visit the regulator, or the regulator would come. And when we sit with the authorities, just to iron out any differences in data that we may have, just to make sure that all the information that they're carrying is accurate and is representative of any client of ours whose funds are then deemed to be an unclaimed asset.
When these institutions are bringing this money, they're supposed to give us the monies and the details of the beneficiaries. Then now, using that information, we look for those owners proactively and reunite them with their assets.
Data is obviously a very key component of any unclaimed assets, meaning these assets have not been claimed, but we have the records of them. So ensuring that those records are correct and up to date is a critical aspect of share registry. Any gaps in records means that you have gaps in reporting to the Unclaimed Assets Authority. All of our processes are what we call zero variance. So even in a dividend account, we know the balance of the dividend account and we know exactly which shareholders those balances relate to.
Although the law was passed in 2011, it doesn't mean that if you had unclaimed assets in 2010 or 1980, then you lose it. So the onus is on the holding institution to find out how they restitute the holding of that asset back to their owner.
Join us today in spreading the word about unclaimed financial assets and take action to make sure that everyone is aware of their potential to access money that is rightfully theirs. Together, we can make sure that no one misses out on his or her rightful financial assets. Unclaimed Financial Assets Authority. Receive, safeguard, reunite.